Queen Camilla has worked to support victims of domestic abuse for several years, aiming to break the taboo that surrounds this subject. And it is believed that a heartbreaking family trauma could be one of the reasons she is so passionate about the issue. During a speech to mark the Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women in 2020, Camilla said everyone has a part to play in raising awareness of the problem, supporting and being inspired by survivors. In February 2021, Her Majesty, as Duchess of Cornwall, became Patron of SafeLives, a white charity dedicated to ending domestic abuse. Camilla also visited Refuge and Women's Aid in the UK, and last year she hosted a reception at Clarence House to mark the 50th anniversary of Refuge. Over the years, she also attended roundtable discussions on domestic abuse abroad, including in Australia and New Zealand. Speaking at a Violence Against Women and Girls event at Chatham 2022, she said, "We, the women and men of the Commonwealth, stand with victims and survivors who, despite the temptation to hide away in silence, speak up so that others know they aren't alone." When the coronavirus lockdown began and domestic abuse helplines saw a significant rise in the number of calls, Her Majesty shared a message of support for victims, including links to helplines and practical advice. For over 10 years, she has also worked to highlight organizations supporting victims of rape and sexual assault. While the reason why Camilla feels so strongly about the issue has never been fully explained, the Mail on Sunday claims that an episode of domestic violence in Camilla's own family could have encouraged her to work to support victims through her platform within the royal family. National Archives documents seen by the newspaper claimed that Camilla's grandfather, Philip Morton, attacked his wife Edith, Camilla's grandmother, when she was 4 months pregnant with the baby who would then become Camilla's father. Thanks for subscribing and liking. The newspaper, citing official divorce papers, says, Philip Morton violently assaulted his wife by dragging her by her arms out of bed into a spare room in her nightdress, bruising her breast and knees and knocking her head, as a result of which she fainted. At this time she was pregnant, and in view of her condition she was removed under doctor's advice by Shen's father to his house in Edwards Place. Shen then joined the Royal Fusiliers while Edith was left alone to give birth to their son. The Mail on Sunday adds that 3 years later, Camilla's grandfather allowed himself to be discovered by a private investigator in a room at London Strand Palace Hotel with an unknown woman. This, at the time, was deemed more unacceptable than domestic violence and provided grounds for divorce, so the attack episode was overshadowed in court, according to the newspaper. Camilla's grandmother then met a former infantry officer called Charles Tippett, and the couple got married when her divorce from Shen was finalized. Bruce Shen, the Queen's father, grew up bouncing between living with his grandparents and sometimes with his mum and stepfather. Meanwhile, Camilla's grandfather went on to marry the daughter of an Indian police administrator, but their union only lasted a couple of years, as the woman successfully sued for divorce in 1924 on the grounds of cruelty, adultery, and desertion. He later met Georgette Elizabeth Adme Thurseveril and they got married in Lyon, but after they moved to London, Shen began an affair with the wife of a retired naval officer, sharing a flat with her not far from his marital home. At this time, his mistress was pregnant, and when divorce proceedings began between him and Georgette, his adultery was named. Philip Morton Shen died in 1960 in line with his fourth wife by his side. While we do not know for sure the real reason why Camilla supports domestic abuse victims and often speaks out to highlight the issue, the Mail on Sunday believes the trauma experienced by her grandmother and the attitude of her grandfather may have made her passionate about the subject. When approached by the Mirror, Buckingham Palace declined to comment on the story. The Mirror has also contacted the National Archives for comment. Write in the comments what you think about this, and at the end of the video I ask you to subscribe and like. Thank you.